So if you look at this jar, you see that black stuff? Now, if you look closely, it might look like crud from something like, I don't know, rotten food, but it's not. What it is just a water ring that my air in my house has affected. As you can see, this jar is cleaned out. There is nothing in there. It was cleaned with soap and water. But I never dried it upside down, and it was just rinsed out with water to rinse out all the soap. After I rinsed it out and put soap in it and then rinsed it out again, I put the cap on and just put it in my junk bin. Because I always wash these again with soap and water before I use them. So I wash them and then just leave them in my junk bin. Then I wash them again real good. So, yeah, that's it. And what I noticed is that the rim... Oh, come on. Can you see this? There's some black right there. The rim is growing black mold. Can you see the black mold on the rim? That is from the air that was trapped in the jar. Yes. The mold breathes oxygen too. So that means there was a small amount of oxygen in the jar, and the mold decided to eat the water. As you can see, there is no black at the bottom. There's no black on the glass. But what you can see is some water, just some regular water like right there, from washing it. That's a hair on the outside, sorry. But as you can see, there's some moisture, just some clean water. But this wasn't here. That's black mold spores that I'm breathing in right now. And as you can see, it has grown everywhere. Now, I'm breathing that into my lungs constantly. It's all over my house. Now, the back of my hands are driving me nuts today because I wash dishes. This gets in anything that gets wet. I had a tower fan. Within 30 days, the tower fan had black mold hairs growing everywhere, similar to how you can see the hairs in the middle starting to spread its way in. Now, if this could happen through this closed jar, what do you think is going to happen to me inside my lungs? I'm pretty sure this mold rather eat a nice wet piece of meat like me. The inside of my lungs are wet and it's juicy meat for them than glass with water on it. And obviously, the water on this rubbery, metallous plastic, it ate it all up. Water, and I'm guessing it liked the tiny bit of whatever residue, even though it was washed out with soap, rinsed, put into a junk bin, and I'm going to wash it again. There's no way I'm using this. I'm going to throw it away. No way I'm ever using this jar. Look at that black mold everywhere in my house. It grew inside the lid of a jar that was literally washed with soap and water, sparkling clean. This was sparkling clean when it came out. There wasn't a drop of any dirt or anything in here. Just moisture, just water like you're seeing. Just some regular water. Now, it didn't look like that, but after 2 months of sitting there, I just went to put my soup away. Chicken noodle, fresh chicken from chicken bones, pasta, rice, carrots, Market Basket, chicken broth, and pasta. That's where the pasta came from. But I'm not saving it in this fucking thing. As you can see. And what's even funnier is this jar was used for a mold water sample at some point. So I'm guessing that whatever water sample residue was in here, what was, I think, sewage? I think it was my tap water coming from the tap. Even though I dumped it out and I decided to wash it with soap and water, apparently the sewage water that was in there was nutritious enough, even after soap and water rinsed this out, for the mold to grow. Now, my landlord says that there is no way there's any mold in this house. Upstairs, downstairs, anywhere. Yeah, we're going to die. And the next tenants are going to die. And the tenants after that are going to die. Really young, too. There was a 10-year-old who's getting sick, and I'm trying to help the next 10-year-old that moves in here because they only have a kid's room and an adult room. That's it. Now, David is like a kid, and I'm like an adult. That's why this was set up for us. But what's going to happen when they re-rent this out? What kid at 10 years old is going to get sick next? That is why I have to work so hard. But do you know what the problem is? Once again, I spent 6 years trying to get everything done in the proper way. But every time I go to the hospital, my father interferes. His old stories from my past interfere. And even though medical records might change at 18, any permanent disabilities before that are still on your record. And on top of that, if your mother has brainwashed you and you're repeating these things at 19 and 20, just forget it. You're going to be dead. And now my father's still trying to take, he doesn't want to take responsibility for anything that happened to me. Nothing. He wants to point fingers and use fucked up rhetoric. So, of course, that mold is going to kill more people. And it's not my fault. I put in shitloads of work. I've reported it. Whose fault is it? You got the landlord. You got Rochester. You got code enforcement. And believe it or not, my father and mother have a place in this. And David. David could have been doing a lot more work. I put in shitloads more than anybody else in any of these buildings. So we know I put in enough work. But my father also has gone in the way of that work. When I'm in the hospital with a seizure and can't breathe or having breathing difficulty and I'm showing them pictures, it's important that my primary care sends me to pulmonary department and allergy associates. But there's no need because my father says everything is a fantasy.